Um, it is Sunday morning, the 14th of July, 2013, and as morning pours over me in the wake of the celebration of life, I find that my shoulders are heavy, my soul is broken, and my heart bleeds. I'm in this state of emotional flux this morning because a family awakens with an empty bed of a son who once occupied it. A man whose freedom was held in the hands of 6 women awakens in a prison of his own creation. And a state who has shown a nation yet again the ugly contradictions, polarizations, and inequalities that keep a nation that is supposed to be united, unfortunately, divided. No matter how any of us may feel about Mr. George Zimmerman, let us not lose sight rather, in the fact that an innocent child was killed. No matter what is said, or no matter what was said, disrespectful or not, to Mr. Zimmerman that night, he pulled the trigger and killed an unarmed child. He did so after he was told not to follow or engage the child. As a black man, as a man of color, I feel very uneasy in my own country, as should any man or person of color should, because we just have been told that it is okay and acceptable to be assaulted, abused, mistreated, hunted down, and killed in our own country, that's acceptable in America, and it's not. Let us not lose sight that while this verdict to some is disheartening, to others feels that the justice system has worked. On many levels, this is an indicator that we live in a society and a country that is still very divided and not united, and that we still have the same problems that happened back when my parents were coming up when it came to equality, be it racial, be it with sexual orientation, whether it be religion or what have you. I feel that we need to start a healing process. We need to start a dialogue, because our young men of every color, including white ones, are dying in the streets by their own hands, by the hands of others, because of ignorance and intolerance that is in the minds and hearts of people. Our women are being subjugated and put on display as pawns and showpieces and objectified, and we think that that's okay. We think that it's cool to be part of a society that we have these ridiculous stereotypes and notions and ideals of what it means to be an acceptable man or woman in society, and if we don't live up to them, then we admonish or ostracize people. We need to really pull together as a community, as a group, and figure out why our babies are dying, why our babies are having babies, why people are not opening their mind and being more expansive to other people, no matter what their religion, their sexual orientation, their ethnic heritage or creed may be. I hope and pray that in the days and weeks to come, that some way, somehow, that the Martin family finds some sort of peace and closure. Sometimes closure is not given to us. We have to create our own closure. That is the tragic downfall sometime of the interaction in the society that is known as the human race. And I hope and pray that as time moves forward, that they are able to find some sort of sense of healing, and to not always be bogged down by the emotional weight of losing a child, and the even more palpable emotional weight of losing a child at the hands of someone else who in their eyes, has been let go and has been told that his actions were okay. I hope that we are able to start a dialogue to better understand one another so that instances like this do not constantly repeat themselves. If we do not learn anything from our history, we are doomed to repeat it, and this is a repeat. It is. There are many Trayvon Martins out there that we don't hear about, that are Asian, that are Hispanic, that are even white, that die every day because someone took matters into their own hands. And that's very sad and unfortunate. I hope that as communities we can take this opportunity to reflect about our own judgments that we have about one another, our miseducation we have about one another, our misunderstandings, and how we've been misrepresented ourselves. As a black man, I would like to feel safe in my own country again. I would like to walk down the street, and when I acknowledge a white woman coming my way of a certain age, that they don't instantly grab their purses and pull it closer, or people look away, or feel like that I can't be me, that I can't walk outside my house and not have to worry about being shot or harmed. I already have to dodge the slings and arrows of outrageous bastards in the street on a daily basis. But to have to feel that my skin color is a liability and can threaten the very existence of my being is very sad. Very, very sad. And I hope that my friends and family and I can be pioneers in our own community, and other people can be, with their family and friends, be pioneers in their community and start having a dialogue, which is different than argument or debate. Arguments and debates use words that are warlike, and they're meant to destroy the other side that is talking, and it isn't about right or wrong or correct information. It's about being the winner. And in this situation, like this, no one is a winner. I won't talk necessarily a bunch about how I feel about Mr. Zimmerman personally and about the situation a lot, but what I will say is that Trayvon is dead and he's never coming back, and his parents have to endure that, and Mr. Zimmerman has to endure a prison that he has created for himself. Let us not forget, people, he's not physically, he is free, but emotionally and spiritually he is not free. For those of us that believe, he will have to answer and be accountable for what he did on that night to a higher authority. Not every prison has bars and doors that lock. Sometimes they're ones that we created, and the fact of the matter is that he will be a polarizing figure for the rest of his life, and his children will have to endure the legacy of being children of a man who's such a polarizing figure, and their children will have to endure it, and so it perpetuates. And so there is no rest, because there will always be people that will feel that Mr. Zimmerman was right in his actions, but there will also be people that will hold disdain and discord in their hearts for Mr. Zimmerman and will shun him wherever he may go. Simple things that we take for granted, he will not be able to do as lightly, such as go out in public and have a meal with his family or friends, or shop, or have privacy, even though on a national and a global level the spotlight and cameras will fade, and some of us, many of us, will sadly, unfortunately, will let this moment in time slip from our conscience and our psyche. The people in his community will not, and he will have to endure that. And wherever he goes, outside of his community, people will recognize him, and the feelings that they had about the situation will come back. And if they are negative, then he will have to endure the admonishments, the verbal admonishments from others. What I do not want to see is people out there acting a fool, ripping and running and rioting the streets. For those of us that remember Rodney King, verdict and how that went down, that was not cool. Um, it just justified what people thought about black people, that we're out of control, that we're not civilized, that we are, in a way, gorillas and apes and monkeys, and I'm not a primate. That's not that's not me. Um, we need to realize that this is a very learnable moment, that this is a teachable moment, um, and that civil discourse, at this point, like I said, rioting and things just only feeds into um, stereotypes and notions about what it means to be someone of color, particularly black in America. And also, the fact of the matter is that you aren't helping when you riot. It may feel good in the moment to destroy someone else's property, to harm other people, to set things afire, but you hurt not only your communities, you hurt yourself, but you hurt the Martin family again, because they now have to see their community torn apart and polarized even furthermore, and it brings back every feeling that they've had from the moment that they heard that their son had been fatally wounded. I hope and I pray that people can find a sense of peace in all this mess and this senseless violence. I hope and pray that we all start getting it together and putting up our arms, using our words, protesting, letting our government know it is not acceptable to be treated as savage animals, that it is not okay. Our justice system will never be perfect. It will always be flawed. And while I do understand what the term reasonable doubt is, the terms and differences between first-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter, at the end of the day, I didn't hear all the evidence. I didn't really follow the trial. I wanted to just kind of let the trial happen and hear the results and then reflect, which is what I'm doing now in this very lengthy video. I don't know that I would not have reasonable doubt, because again, I didn't hear all the evidence. But what I do feel that I would do is that I would not have let Mr. Zimmerman go without some sort of punishment. Because at the end of the day, what we all tend to forget about is an innocent child, a baby. As my mom would always tell me, I don't care if you're 17 or 77, you always be a baby to me. So that little boy was 17 years old, so he will always forever morally be a baby to me in my mind's eye. When we speak of him, a baby is dead at the hands of a man, and he didn't have to be if this man just simply followed directions and just let him be. Stevie Wonder can see it, that it appeared that Mr. Zimmerman was looking for confrontation, and he got it. And it's sad, because there's a baby that is dead. So I want to real quickly turn it to my people of color, particularly my black folks out there, because we need to put up a better image, people. We need to. I don't think that we should be stalked or hunted down just because we have a hoodie, or just because, you know, we're wearing baggy clothes. I wear baggy clothes from time to time. I wear hoodies. I shouldn't be accosted or looked upon as someone less than or not up to snuff. However, we as a people have broken down. We've allowed ourselves to be broken down, and we do not put our best face forward. We don't help our own people. We don't help to get them educated, to help get them out of the system, to help them to want to get off the system, to want to not be Project Bunnies and think that it's cute and cool to live the lifestyle of where you're always constantly slinging dope, or, you know, you have a bunch of babies and wearing it like a badge of honor, but you can't take care of these kids. We need to stop that. We need to stop having these jacked up notions of what it's supposed to be a black man or to be a black woman. We need to start telling our sons it is okay to cry, it's okay to feel, it is okay to talk. We need to start telling our young ladies that it is okay to put a high value on yourself, on your sense of self-worth. We need to teach these men and women a sense of self-worth, and that goes across the board. But right now I'm speaking right to my brothers and sisters in the African American community. We need to do this. We need to start really treating and respecting our elders better, and understand that they are walking veterans, and that not every veteran has to be on a foreign land, in a foreign place, fighting a war. That they fought wars in homes, in homelands, in times when we were colored. They had separate bathrooms, separate water fountains, deplorable conditions. People threw things at them. They heckled, they gestured. Their lives hanged in the balance on a daily basis. And if we're not careful, we will easily go back to that place. To my other people of color, just because you may not have as many issues, racial issues, as some other groups, just remember that it's a domino effect. And so eventually, when it stops affecting me, it will eventually start affecting you. So you need to stand up not only for your rights, but for the rights of your Hispanic or Latino brother and sister, for your Asian brother and sister, for your African American brother and sister, for your brothers and sisters that come from wherever. You need to stand up for those rights. And nobody's rights should be denied on any level for anything, whether it's marriage, whether it's whatever, because telling someone no about one thing just leads to discourse and distrust on another level, and it's easy for them to say no or feel that they can treat other people like second class. And you have situations like this where a baby is dead, a man is free, and a nation is further divided instead of united. Lastly, I'm going to talk to my white peeps. White peeps. Take the time to be more thoughtful in your questions, in your thoughts, in your interactions with people of color. If you are someone who has friends of color, has family members of color, co-workers of color that you interact with, that you enjoy, do not pity us, celebrate us, learn about us, but do not be ignorant. Try your best not to be ignorant when you approach us and ask questions, whether it's about our hair, about background, whatever it may be, and realize that at the end of the day, we are all the same. We may have different hues, different hair colors, different body weights, things like that, but if our heart breaks, it breaks. If we bleed, we bleed. We all bleed the same blood, we all cry the same thing, and we're human. And you need to remember that when you deal with us, when you approach us, when you engage us on any level. And you need to also remember that when you make comments, black folks suck it up, resources, Hispanics and Latinos, or sucking up jobs, this and that, remember that this is a system that was created largely by your ancestors, and this is the downfall of it. Not saying that you are responsible for what they did, but you are responsible for allowing the system to continue if you participate in its continuation, by making disparaging comments and not looking at facts like the majority of people that are still on welfare to this day are that of Caucasian descent. Highest numbers. I'm sorry, up until a few years ago. Hispanics may have beaten you at this point, but for many years. But in the 80s, you always saw a blackface. Even when you put down someone who is of your own ethnic origin and call them white trash, that you are putting down other ethnic groups as well, because the implication is that, you know, trash is usually something that is dark, and that things that are white are supposed to be clean, and the reality is that there's no such thing as clean. There's no such thing as clean. There's varying shades of dirt. We all have a little bit of dirt on us. And so instead of playing the blame game, instead of always being negative, instead of always making disparaging comments, help be part of the solution. Find a solution. Whether it's getting involved in the communities and finding out what problems are affecting us and how you can help. Whether it's just listening, whether it's money, if you got money and you want to spend your money to help make the world a better place, write a check, whatever it may be, do that. And lastly, as our people, as a community, we need to stop being judgmental. We need to start uplifting and holding up one another. We need to start helping one another. We need to start reaching out to one another. As I get older, I have this sense of urgency to connect with people more and more, and to have more of a community. And I want to, in another 33 years from now, hopefully I will still be breathing. I will be 66, and I would like to say that equality is in a far better place and not in some dark, scary place. Because right now we're on the verge, people. We can easily become an Orson Welles novel. This can easily become 1988. This can easily become Lord of the Flies. This can easily become, Hunger Games. It easily can. It could easily swing that way because we're in such a perilous, dangerous place. But these are exciting times. And I hope that we can use that excitement and enthusiasm to promote love and peace and tolerance and equality, and not degradation, dilapidation, dehumanization, hatred, and ultimately death. Because if my people die out, eventually someone else's people will die out, and it will just keep happening until there's no one left. And that will be a very, very sad state on the human race. And in case there happens to be life out there, I do not want the epithet to be that we were a race that there was no hope for. So, in conclusion, in this long rant, I thank you all for watching. I hope and pray that out of all this senseless violence that has happened in the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman case, the outcome of the verdict, and violence that goes on around us continually, that we can begin a sense of healing, get a better understanding of self-worth, that we can begin a didactic conversation to build better communities. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my rant. My thoughts and prayers are with the Martin family. My thoughts and prayers are with the 6 women that held Mr. Zimmerman's fate in their hands. My thoughts and prayers are with Mr. Zimmerman and his family. It really is, people. We should pray for him too. We should not send, as difficult as it is, a bunch of hateful energy towards him. We should pray. We should pray that even if he never sees a day in his life in prison, that he will be able to take responsibility for what he did and come to terms with it and accept it and own up to it. I pray for our communities. I pray really hard for my friends who have young men as children and worry about their safety. I pray that the world becomes a safer place for them. And I pray that any of my friends who are parents, no matter what their skin tone may be, will never have to find themselves in a similar situation as this one. And I pray that we all get equality, no matter what that equality is. Sending you love and visions on this July 14th, 2013, Sunday morning. It's Johnny Mac, y'all, and I'm out. Love.